Hello, everybody. Welcome to another little episode of Dad's Den. I'm Dad. That's my den. And today I'm going to talk about a couple games that I really enjoy. One of which I just got very recently for Christmas. The other one, a couple, 3 years ago. They're both maybe a little bit unusual, but both excellent games, a lot of fun, definite favorites in my family. So let's get right into it. We're going to take you back to the 1980s with these games. Although strangely enough, I didn't play either of them until maybe the last 5 years. So number one, this is the Christmas present that I got. It was from my daughter, who knows me well. And there we go. Get it up here. Good. This is Dallas. So for those of you who don't know anything about Dallas, this is a nighttime soap opera. Premiered in 1978. Ran until, I think, 91. A pop culture phenomenon. Easily has one of the best theme songs ever. Theme music. I guess I don't know if that counts as a song or not. Super fun. Just you get right up here. There we go. Okay, J.R. Ewing, played by Larry Hagman. Previously best known for I Dream of Jeannie, where he played the very, very nice Major Tony. Jeez, I just forgot his friggin' name. Dr. Bellows, Major Healy, Major Nelson. Thank you. Very different character here. Oh, you know what? Another awesome movie Larry Hagman did. Go out, find it, watch it. Is called Failsafe. The book's also awesome. Saw the movie before I saw the book. Read the book, and it had me going, even though I knew exactly how it was going to end. Very well written. Awesome movie with Henry Fonda. Cold War classic. Go watch it. Anyways, so he becomes J.R. Ewing, who is... I almost said J.R.R. Ewing. No, we're not talking Tolkien this time. J.R. Ewing, easily one of the biggest bastards to have ever been on television, and he relished the role, and he was awesome in it. So the soap opera, obviously set in Dallas, Texas, involves the Ewing family and their Ewing oil business, and it's a lot of backstabbing, etc. So I open this Christmas present. The first thing I think is, oh, it's like an album of music. No, it's a game. Like, is it like a record player type game? What? No, apparently not. It's published by, I think it's pronounced Yaquinto, which was a Dallas game company. They did a lot of stuff that were like, probably a little more war gamey, but they had this whole series of these album games that you could fit on shelf with all your record albums, because this is 1980. This game comes out, and everybody had record albums, although not for long. And so we get this game. You open it up. There's your game board. And then tucked into it were all these different pages of cards, of the play money. I got them sitting over here. You got to see. I have not put them. I have not. It says you could slide them just back into the into the cover, the album, and I'm like, did I put those in there? They're going to be all over the place, and I like to keep stuff organized, so we just put them in a Ziploc bag. So you take that stuff out, break it up. You got your rules, you read them. You got your game, you play it. Fun. So how does the game work? It's a little more strategic than it seemed at first. You have these cards. In fact, let's get one of these cards out, because this will go a long way to explaining how the game works. So, okay, let's start with this. You pick a character to play. It's one of the Ewing family. The point of the game is to be the wealthiest player at the end. Simple, right? So you have these cards. Let's hold this up See if we can get it to, there we go. That's not too bad. And you see on the card, you have several different things. You got over here is a movement value. Over here is a proxy vote value. Then you got an event, and you got blackmail. Okay, and that's on almost all the cards. A few of the cards do not have blackmail value. So you're moving around the board, trying to do a few different things. You can buy stock in companies, and by buying that stock, it gives you additional votes. I'll get to why that's important in a minute. You can also go to, so there's different companies. They're all based on like kind of real companies from Texas. You can tell it's made by a Dallas company. Texas Calculators instead of Texas Instruments. You had United, it's called Untied Airlines instead of United. So you have those. You can also go visit these pink squares. And now I'm, of course, completely forgetting what you're doing there. A lot of it's about getting votes. Because what you're ultimately going to have to do at the end of a round of the game, and the game, it consists of 5 rounds, you got to get back to the Ewing mansion for a stockholder vote. And if you have the most votes, you become, for the next round, president of Ewing Oil, which gives you a bonus in money and a couple other little things. So it's all about getting those votes. And so you have these events that you can play on other players. They don't always happen to other players, but that's part of what you do with them. Any rate, now the interesting thing is you don't know how long a round lasts. It's anywhere from like 6 to 10 turns. It's kind of random. So you go out on this board, moving around, and here, so there's the Ewing compound up there. What do they call that? South Fork. Duh. So you're moving around on the board, but you don't know how far you can go before you got to get back to that vote, because if you're not there, you don't get to vote, number one, but you also don't get your $3 million sort of allowance for that round. So you really want to get back if you can. And so you collect the proxy votes, you get votes for the stock you own, and then the other way to get votes is by blackmailing the other players. So there are these different blackmail sets. This one on that card I showed you said 10. So there's several that are just marked 10. They all involve the same person, and it tells the story of what that person did that you're blackmailing them for. And when you blackmail a person, you control their votes. They have to vote the way you tell them to vote. All right? And so, of course, when you get back and you're doing all your votes, you don't know who might be blackmailing you or others. If 2 people try to blackmail, it'll cancel out. So it's a whole thing. The strategy is in figuring out how far you can move. You're kind of looking at your cards going, well, I don't want to get rid of this one because that's a blackmail card that I need. Well, this one has a lot of movement but very few proxy votes. Okay, well, I can maybe get rid of that one. Oh, that's what those cards are. If you move onto a pink space, you get to keep the proxy votes for that card. That's what that was. So you're kind of strategizing, which cards should I use? What do I want to keep? You're going, well, do I want to move any further away? Because I don't have enough movement cards right here to get back in time. I might draw them, because as you get rid of cards, you draw new ones. There's actually some strategy involved. Best round of the game. I think I was playing J.R. Ewing. I think I was the current president of Ewing Oil. So I want to win the vote and keep that presidency. Playing with my wife and daughter. So I'm wheeling and dealing. I'm making deals with my daughter to get her to throw her votes to me. And in exchange, I'm going to give her X, Y, and Z. I got this whole thing planned out. We get to that vote. I'm making the deal with her. She's agreeing. Okay, sort of tentatively agreeing. So we get to that part of the end where We get to the blackmail. I didn't have any blackmail that round. I had nothing. My wife had no blackmail. My daughter's first blackmail is my wife. She now has those votes. And so I'm kind of teasing her going, well, oh, awesome. Now you can force her to vote for me too. That's great. I go, do you got any more blackmail? Bump, bump, bump. She blackmails me. She had all the votes. She blackmailed both of us and got all the votes. Became president for that round. Any rate, it was a really fun game. There's a little bit of, stab your neighbor in the back kind of stuff. Some strategy. It's especially fun if you know the show a little bit and you know who the characters are and you're reading about their dirty deeds that are getting them blackmailed and all that. Super fun game if you can find it. We were lucky enough to find one that was in, I won't say exactly new condition, but none of the cards had been punched out. None of the money had been punched out. So we knew that we had everything for the game. We weren't missing anything. If you can find a Dallas game, highly, highly suggested. Highly suggested. So here's a soap opera game that I really loved. So what do we have up next? Well, this one I got a few years back. I got it because I knew it was something my wife would like and remember. Definitely part of her childhood. Part of mine too, actually. Ooh, there's a dog barking. But what was also fun is who made this particular game. So, for a big change, yeah, it's another soap opera game. All My Children. So, let me tell you, when I was a kid, and we had summer break, we had Christmas break, we lived in a time where, at least for part of my childhood, we didn't have VCRs. My family didn't have cable or anything. We had a TV, one TV set in the house. That was it. So we all used that TV. So when we're home, in the time period where we're normally at school, Mom has soap operas that she watched. And that meant we watched them too. And you're thinking, well, why didn't you go outside and play? Well, of course we would sometimes. But I grew up in Las Vegas. Going outside to play in the summertime, not always super pleasant. Of course, you're a kid, you don't care that much. But yeah, you spend some time inside. So I have a pretty good working knowledge of All My Children, of General Hospital. This is like the Luke and Laura phase of that show. And One Life to Live. Those were my mom's soaps. So those are the soaps that I know. I know about a few characters from a very specific few years of my life. So All My Children was one that I knew as well. So I got this for my wife. It's published in 1985, interestingly enough, by TSR, folks who made Dungeons and Dragons. And I can recall, as a teenager, reading Dragon Magazine and seeing the ads for All My Children and thinking that's kind of funny, I know the show, I know my mom loves it, no interest in the game. So anyways, All My Children, I find this game on eBay. It was still wrapped, so it was essentially new, and got it. Don't know what you're going to get. Turned out to be one of our favorite games as a family. It has some things in common with Dallas. And that's not really strange considering they're both, based on soap operas. So in this game, you're going to pick one of these characters to play. You're moving around a board. I don't know if I could get the board out. It's probably too big. This will probably be a disaster. God, there's sparklies all over it. We play this thing around New Year's Eve, sometimes Christmas when family's over. My wife always has a tablecloth with all these sparkles all over it. So here's the board. This is a sort of rendition of the town where All My Children is set. Again, probably the name is escaping me at the moment. So with this one, it's card driven, but also with dice. You're moving around, and you can play, events on other characters if you land on that character. You're essentially trying to what you're kind of trying to do is win trumps. You're trying to win a certain number of points to win the game. And so at certain points you're putting down some cards, but other people can bid against you to steal your cards. And there's different suits of cards. And they do have actual events on them that are very soap opera. What the actual event is not that important. It's really sort of the suit of the cards. So you're trying to steal other people's cards away from them and build up your points, and whoever finally gets up to the points needed to win the game wins the game. It's a blast. It's a fun game. There is strategy in it for sure. But what really hit me with this one, and Dallas is the same way, and these are my favorite kind of games. They're great games for a group of people. You don't have to devote a massive amount of brain power to playing the game. So you have time to chat with people and joke with people and all that kind of stuff. They're great games for getting people together, for building, the bonds of friendship, of family, etc. Wonderful games for that kind of thing. That to me is the great thing about board games. Even when they're not particularly, ingenious in how they're created. And I got a lot of them. I'm going to be showing over the years I have this channel, because I've collected a whole bunch of them. They're great excuses for just getting people together. And Dungeons and Dragons is like that too. Some people make it a very intense experience with deep, involved storylines, and that's all awesome. I have no problem with how anybody likes to play the game they like to play. But, I tend to keep it a little lighter, because for me, it's all about just getting people around a table, spending time together, having fun, having some laughs. All My Children and Dallas, get these things out of the way. Both, in my opinion, excellent games for that kind of thing. Getting everybody together, having fun, with the veneer of being just a dirty, rotten bastard to all the other players. It's always nice when you can be a dirty, rotten bastard to your friends and family, and everybody comes away happier for it, in my opinion. So there you go. A couple great games from the 80s. Dallas, 1980, from Yaquinto Games. All My Children, 1985, TSR. You can find those out there on eBay and other, I'm sure, auction sites and probably antique stores. Maybe you've walked past them and you thought, oh, brother, give me a break. I got no interest whatsoever in soap operas. I don't need these games. Think about getting them if the price isn't bad. If you got a bunch of people to play games with, you do maybe game nights, could be a really fun thing to spring on everybody. I think you'll probably have a good time. Soap operas are such a part of American pop culture. Well, obviously other countries too, but in America, it's kind of sad that they're going away. A lot of soap operas, they lasted a long time. Daughters would inherit their soap operas from their mom, and they'd pass it on to their daughters. And you'd have like 3 generations of people who knew these characters and could talk about them and laugh about them and have a good time with them. And, those kind of bonds that reach across generations, we're losing a lot of them, and it's real sad. Do your best to build those up with your own friends and family and older relatives and younger relatives, Wonderful things. But these games, hey, maybe these games will help do that. So, hey, do you have any favorite games or games you like to suggest, or any thoughts or memories about Dallas or All My Children growing up in the 80s? Go ahead and put them down in the comments. I'd love to read them. If you enjoy what you're seeing with these videos, or at a minimum, tolerate them. Think about subscribing. I'd love that. I'm not a brutal guy. I'm not going to tell you to smash the like button, but if you could, tenderly press the like button, I'd sure appreciate that. Well, until next time, this is Dad from Dad's Den, signing off. And hey, hope you have a good time out there. It's a rough world. Try to inject some fun where you can. Bye bye.